So I'm Michelle Lefebvre, and I've been in touch with you over the email. And so I'm the Professor of Social Work here and the Director of CIRCY, the Centre for Innovation and Research in Childhood and Youth. And I'll get Loreto to introduce herself next. Oh, and you're on mute, just to warn you.
Well, I'm Loreto, I'm the CIRCY Research Assistant, and I'm very happy to be here today with our Chilean researchers. So yeah, let's hope to have a good evening.
And Rebecca?
Hi everyone, I'm absolutely delighted to meet you all too this afternoon. Welcome. I'm the co-director of CIRCY and have the pleasure of working closely with Loreto and Michelle. And I'm based in the Department of Education, and a lot of my research is focused on children's voice, children and young people's voice and participation. So I'm absolutely delighted to listen to you this afternoon.
And Janet?
Thank you. And I'm so delighted that this seminar is happening today. Thank you, everybody. I'm Janet Boddy. I'm a Professor of Child, Youth and Family Studies in the School of Education and Social Work. And I was lucky enough, I think, possibly 4 years ago now, can that be true, to spend a couple of weeks in Chile, including working in Santiago with Loreto and Professor Claudia Capella. So I feel a strong connection to Chile since then and through working with Loreto, and looking forward to working with Felipe next year as well. So I'm particularly pleased and keen to hear about this work today. So thank you.
Lovely. And just for everybody else now who's just arriving, I'm just getting everyone just to say very quickly who they are, maybe like what background, discipline or whatever they're from, before we ask our Chilean colleagues to introduce themselves. Dorota.
Hi, I'm Dorota Thorson and I'm a research fellow at the Institute of Development Studies. My work is around children and youth mobilities for work, education, vocational training, and I look very much into gender differences and gender dynamics in the societies that the migrants come from. I work primarily in West Africa.
Thank you, Dorota. May?
Yes, hi everyone, I'm May. I'm a fourth year PhD student in social work and social care.
Rosie?
Hi everyone, my name's Rosie. I'm at the Institute for Development Studies. I'm a new PhD researcher, so in my second month, and my research project will be of a family support service in Armenia, working with Syrian Armenian refugees and looking at social network development of children and families.
Lovely. And Emily?
Hi, I'm Emily Danvers. I'm a lecturer in education at Sussex, and I researched higher education equity.
Lovely. Mario?
Hello, I'm a professor in the School of Education and Social Work, and I'm interested in, well, one of my interests is in knowledge production in social movements. So I have a project around learning in social movements and social protests between Colombia, Turkey, Nepal, and South Africa. So I saw this event and thought it would be interesting to engage in.
Lovely to have you, Mario. And Rachel?
Hello, I'm Rachel Thompson. I'm another of the professors in Childhood Youth Studies. I had the great pleasure to meet Valentina when she was with us. How long ago? I don't know. It's too long ago now. We're still waiting for you to come back. Yes, so delighted to be part of today.
Lovely. And so I'll go to our Chilean guest. Shall I go to you first, Luis?
Hello, I'm a translator. I'll be here to assist the Chilean participants in the questions round.
Thank you.
To convey the message into English.
Brilliant. Thank you. And Daniela?
Hi, I am Daniela. I'm social worker. I'm professor of the Catholic University in Chile, and I am a director of the observatory. in Chile too.
Thank you. And Felipe?
Hello to all. My name is Felipe Paredes. I'm a psychologist working currently in the design team of the National Service of Chile for Children and Adolescents. And I will be going to Sussex, hopefully in January or March, depending of the situation. And I will start my PhD there.
Wonderful, that's great. And Carolina?
Hello everybody, I'm Carolina Rocha. I am here because Loreto very kindly invited me. I am also Chilean, but I'm based in Scotland. I'm doing my PhD in the University of St. Andrews, looking at how solidarity can be socially mobilized. And so I looked at solidarity actions during the social movement we just had in Chile.
Terrific, thank you. And last but not least, Valentina.
Hi all, I am Valentina Terra. I am a sociologist and I studied in Sussex 5 years ago, Rachel. And I really want to go back there, but I am also happy here in Chile with all these movements and all these things that are really intense. But I will go back because I am planning something. And really happy to be here with you now. And okay, so.
Yeah, so we'll let you share your presentation with us and we're very excited to have you.
Okay, so I will share the presentation. Wait a little bit.
And should I give you a sort of a 5-minute warning when you're coming close?
So how long?
So you've got about half an hour from now.
Okay. Okay. So can you see the presentation?
Yeah, that's great.
Okay, first of all, I would like to thanks for the invitation to talk about the observatory work and about the social and political situation in Chile. I would like to start explain the Chilean context. Chile has had a sustained economic growth. However, we are one of the most unequal countries. In fact, the United Nations Development Program has said that Chile is a country in which not only economic sources are stratified, but also dignity. For example, in case of children, 3 in 10 children is living in poverty, 2 in 10 children is living in overcrowded conditions, and an important part of the territory face water scarcity, and 43% of households does not have computer, laptops, or tablets. You can imagine how important is that for children development in the context of a global health crisis, no? In this context, the observatory produced since 2014 the report Infancia Cuenta en Chile, or Kids Count Chile, creating a Chilean right monitoring system with official data that lasts until today. Our model have 3 principles. We want to observe all right, not only material right, or material welfare, but also right exercise. And we know that is the most difficult part because there's no periodic information about participation or about civil liberties, but only to set that is important in this country. We are an autonomous institution. We believe you cannot observe right from the state, so you cannot be judge and jury, and the cost of this option is economical. We are always looking for sources and needing financing. And we look for a universal warranty, so we observe every right for every children, especially because of the geographic dispersion and of the social inequality that affect quality of life in Chile. Here you have our model of right monitoring that includes 5 dimensions: progressive autonomy and participation, health, education and cultural recreation activities, familiar and social environment, and civil rights. There you have our website. We invite you to visit our website to know our publication and to know a little bit about our work. In our last report, Kids Count Chile 2020, we want to collect official data about the state violence against children in social mobilizations that take place in October 2019. We would like to share with you, or we like to invite you to watch the following video about the social outbreak in October.
Can you see the video? Okay.
El día viernes 18 de octubre del año 2019 comenzó un proceso de manifestaciones convocadas desde la ciudadanía en demanda de cambios estructurales sustantivos en materia económica y de protección social.
Es obligación del Estado brindar protección integral y resguardar los derechos de la niñez ante situaciones de emergencia y crisis política y social.
Esto incluye a las fuerzas policiales como garantes de la seguridad.
Oye, ¿qué pasa con el niño? ¡Anda con un niño!
Yo vivo en Huanque.
Acaban de llevarse al papá.
De acuerdo a denuncias recibidas por el Instituto Nacional de Derechos Humanos, 264 niños, niñas y adolescentes fueron víctimas de la violencia ejercida por el Estado a través de las fuerzas policiales y de orden. Esta violencia ha sido generalizada en todo el país.
Las principales víctimas han sido jóvenes entre 14 y 17 años.
Un 27% de estas víctimas son mujeres y un 73% son hombres.
Se ha vulnerado el cuerpo y la sexualidad de niñas, niños y jóvenes.
Con 45 desnudamientos, 8 tocaciones y 6 amenazas de violación.
Se han disparado 57 perdigones, 11 bombas lacrimógenas, 7 balas, 4 balines.
Niñas, niños y adolescentes fueron víctimas de
165 golpizas,
153 detenciones,
77 disparos,
17 amenazas,
12 amenazas de muerte,
9 gaseados,
5 allanamientos,
2 atropellos,
un quemado y un crucificado.
Como Observatorio Niñez y Adolescencia, condenamos tajantemente la violencia sufrida por niños, niñas y adolescentes en manos de la fuerza pública.
Asimismo, consideramos imprescindible, en el contexto social y político que vive nuestro país hoy,
visibilizar todas las formas de participación de niños, niñas y adolescentes.
En el marco del artículo 12 de la Convención sobre los Derechos del Niño, que exige al Estado garantizar su derecho a ser escuchados
y que su opinión sea considerada en la toma de decisiones sobre los asuntos que afectan sus vidas.
Now we will review an update of this data and how many children are victims of state violence. The first things to clarify is that it's difficult to know the real magnitude of state violence against children, even without count cases that would not be reported. The information comes from the record of complaint file or register in different agencies, such Chilean National Human Rights Institute, the Chilean Children Ombudsman, or the Public Prosecution Office. There is no single source of information. The information we will review now comes for complaints registered in Children Ombudsman website by email, notification, and social network. As you can see, the peak of the state violence is in November with 336 cases, And then after the last quarter of 2019, the number of complaints decreased, probably because of the health crisis of coronavirus. Between January and March 2020, 83 complaints were registered. As you can see, the violence against children persists after the social outbreak. This is particularly relevant considering the multiple recommendations of national and international organizations of human rights of the country in face of abusive and disproportionate practice of the police force. Here we find Inter-American Court of Human Rights or Human Rights Watch, among others. In fact, 92% of the cases of complaint of violence identify the police as the aggressor. In total, we have 798 cases were reported. What kind of violence were they victim of? Here you can see the type of violence that children and adolescents suffer. Most of them suffer physical damage with 448 cases, followed by damage caused by shot pelling. And here we have 119 cases. Also, the 13 report cases of adolescents with an ocular trauma are alarming. In fact, in November of 2019, a group of doctors of the ocular trauma unit of the most important hospital in Chile warned the authority that the ocular trauma case treated in that month exceeded those observed in previous year in number and in severity. They asked the authority to avoid using pellet and to review their protocols because of permanent eye damage caused. Who are the children who have been state violence victim? Regarding the sex of each victim, almost 8 in 10 registered cases correspond to men, while 176 cases correspond to female adolescents. However, women concentrate sexual violence cases, as you can see in the video. 87% have between 14 and 17 years old, but we also have youngest victims too. Almost 50% of the violence complaint cases take place in the main region of Chile. However, there were reports of violence in all regions of the country, including urban and rural areas. And this indicates that violence against children was widespread over the country. Maybe the most worrying data was that 1 out of every 2 victims who failed complaints were treated or are being treated now by CENAME. CENAME is the Institution for Specialized Childhood Protection, and it has different programs in juvenile justice area and in protection area, like foster care, juvenile jails, right restitution programs, among others. Of the CENAME cases that fail complaint of police violence, 61% belong to the child protection area and 34% belongs to juvenile justice area. This means that we're failing to childhood when the state, which must guarantee and protect the right of the children, is violating the right through the action of the police. This is more serious when it comes to state violence towards children who are in care of the same state. Now we are going to review 2 emblematic cases. The first is about Geraldine. She spent 5 days in an induced coma due to the impact of the tear gas grenade on her head, according to witness, and she was participating in the protest in Plaza Dignidad 70 days after the start to the popular uprising. And then you have the Anthony case on October 2nd, almost a year from the beginning of the social outbreak. A 16-year-old boy lies face down on the Mapocho River. Audiovisual records of protesters show that he didn't fall. He was pushed by a member of police special forces. He lost consciousness and he was helped by people in the protest. This image was in the newspaper across the world. And this is a story that reflects police violence from a childhood perspective. It was written by a teenager for a story contest called Santiago en 100 Palabras or Santiago in 100 Words, and I invite you to listen.
I am a pirate. I was sitting outside the clinic waiting for my appointment. Suddenly, a little girl came to me and asked why I was wearing an eye patch. I told her that I was a pirate looking for a treasure. Her mother, who was holding her hand, stared at me with a begging face so I would not say anything. She was a policewoman. I am a pirate.
The social mobilization that had a strong adolescent participation and with a political agreement to change the constitution written in a dictatorship, and the adolescent played a decisive role in all this process, as Valentina will explain you next.
Thanks, Dani. After this part that is really sad and awful, I will try to cheer you up and talk about the nice and the good thing of this process. So this part is about specifically about child and adolescent participation in the social outbreak, and also in this constitutional process that we are living. Okay, so as maybe many of you saw last year, adolescents and children have a prominent role. They have been active agents in this social and political context. But in fact, the high school students initiate all this with the mass evasion of the metro system in Santiago, and these events led to this social outbreak. However, their actions and their contributions had been ignored by the society and by the state. Okay, in fact, from the state view, adolescents are mainly seen as subject to criminal law when they turn 14 years old, but at the same time they are marginalized or excluded from exercising another rights, and also to participate in the important and relevant decision that we are facing now. And I would like to read this quote from a girl teenager of 14 years old, that she said that it's really cool that you are asking us what we think, because adults usually say, no, you are too young to give an opinion, and kids are capable of having an opinion even though they are young. So that is the main idea that children have, and we will try to represent that. Okay, but what is maybe the first problem? That as an observatory, we have tried to observe what had been happening with the participation of the children by using official data or information. And the problem is that the state doesn't have an interest to show what is happening to children's participation. So we found that they are really little information, or official information, and also they use quite conventional methods to observe how is this participation is expressing. So we have this kind of data that says, and also is not up to date. We only have two national survey, one from 2017 and the other one from 2015. Is 5 years ago. So, and this survey from the National Youth Service said that only 2 out of every 10 adolescents between 15 and 17 years old are interested in politics. So the 80% is not interested in politics in the country. And also this survey said that 3 out of every 4 adolescents hadn't participated in a march or in a strike or in an occupation protest. So we, in that moment, we thought that maybe this data is not really representing what is happening in the country. So we decided to write a new report from a qualitative view and asking the children and the young people how are they participating in the country. So last year we beginning writing this report that now we are sharing with us. And fortunately, this year in January, the Children's Ombudsman Office published a national survey about children participation that offer a wider view about the participation of the children. And we can see more real information that maybe is more, that is closer to the reality. And you can see that 55% of the children between 10 and 17 years old participated in the process, in the protest, and also 66% of them think that is important that the children participate in this kind of demonstration. And also this is a really interesting figure that says that almost 54% of the children and adolescents were interested in participating in the plebiscite, in the referendum. They want to vote, and also they want to participate in writing this new constitution. And this figure increases to almost 64 in the case of adolescents between 14 and 17 years old. So now we have this data that is really relevant, and now you will see what do the children and adolescents think and experience in this social outbreak. So how we made this report, we went last year to the, because after the outbreak, a lot of people got together and create this kind of community council, and also like a youth assembly, like really spontaneously. And they got together and talk about what was happening and what are their opinions and etc. So we visit like 10 community assemblies where almost 200 children and adolescents participate. And also we talk with adolescents from the Modatima, I don't find the mouse here. Here, sorry. Modatima youth wing, that this is a movement that defends the environment and the water. And this movement was created in one of the driest area of Chile, that is the place where the avocado is grown. So all the avocado use all the water, and the people that live here don't have water for anything, for drinking water and for anything. So we talk with these adolescents, and also we talk with the children that are participating in a radio led by children, and it's called Radio Ballena. It's like whale radio, and this radio is from an island in the south of the country. So we try to have that diverse experience of the children. So what did they say? Most of the children and adolescents back the social protest, and even they felt part of them, and they were part of them. They were in the process, in the protest, so they agree with the main demands of Chilean people. And also they have a really concrete and shared interpretation about what are the main factors that led to this social outbreak. And they say that it was caused by a series of abuses and injustices that had been affecting the populations like for ages, like for almost 30 years. And they say that this is because of an state that hasn't been able to guarantee the rights of the people. Okay, so I will only read one of the quote in honor of the time. A boy of 10 years old said the reason why people are all in this social outburst is because the law are too unjust. They only benefit politicians and the rich. And also we want to show you like this photo shows like one of the motto or the main slogan of this social outbreak that say it's not about 30 peso. That was the fare hike that we experienced in the metro. So it's not about 30 peso or 30 I don't know, cents. It's about 30 years of injustices and abuses and poverty and etc. Okay. Also, the children and adolescents talk about ambivalent feelings and emotion. On the one hand, they spoke about feelings of joy, about hope, and also feelings of belonging when they see all the people come together. So they talk about community and people united. Okay, and you can see this maybe in this quote from a children that say, the people will never be defeated by Piñera, that our president. The people of Chile are brave because Chile doesn't lower its arm. We are all the people, so we are united. Okay. But on the other hand, they experienced a lot of sadness, a lot of fear, a lot of rage, because they witnessed all these acts of violence that Daniela told you before. And in this quote, you can see, I won't read, but you can see how the children experience and witness and suffer the repression and the acts of violence by the police force. Also, they share a quite critical vision of the political class. They, in particular, they have a really negative perspective of the president. They disapprove his administration and his disconnection with what is going on in the country. And you can see that in this yellow quote that is really like a good example, that they say, when the country was burning to pieces, Piñera was eating pizza, and that was real. The night when Chile was under fire and flames, that night Piñera was eating pizza with his family in a restaurant, and that was really a commented fact on the media and in every part. And also children are really critical or have a really negative perspective of the law enforcement and the traditional media outlets. For example, I will read this quote that say, the same people who should be protecting us are the ones who are killing us. They like to shoot people's eyes out. This is from children between 10 and 13 years old from a CENAME, for a national service program. that say that. So after this social outbreak, what are children thinking and proposing for this new constitutional process? And first of all, well, a month ago, we had the opportunity to vote for the possibility of a new constitution, but children didn't. They were excluded for voting, and they want, and they say that they feel prepared to be part of this process, to vote, and also to make opinions about what do they want in this constitution. And also they say that they want a new constitution. And why? You can see why in this quote, that is say, this constitution was created in the dictatorship. I don't know if you know what a dictatorship is. That is why the laws are more beneficial to those who have money, because at that time, life was really unjust. So that is the opinion of 10 years old. And what are children proposing for this new constitution? First of all, they want that all rights are guaranteed by the state. So they talk about a free quality education, the right for universal health care, the right for a clean and sustainable environment, and also the right to water, because water here in Chile is privatized. You can buy the rights for the water, so it's really weird that. And also they ask for gender equality and social protection through better salaries and better pension for the people. I have some example, but maybe for the time you can see later in the PowerPoint. And this is very interesting, but because children also talk about the specific rights related to children. So they also want that this new constitution have the right, for example, to live in family. And they say to work fewer hours, so families can spend more time at home with each other. And also they talk about the right to recreation, okay, about opening more spaces and cultural activities for the children and adolescents. And also they talk a lot of the right to participation. And this is really interesting because they not only want the right to be heard, but also they ask for the opportunity to express themselves freely, and also they ask for more more opportunity to meet another people and organize with another people. So they are asking for a participation in a really wide way, or in a really wide perspective, not only to give an opinion. And also they say that they need tools for developing a critical thinking that allow them to participate more like generally. And also they want that adults, they want that we accompany them in this process, but by trusting them, and also by opening spaces of participation from an integral and binding perspective. So they are really clear about what they want now in this new country that maybe we are building. And also, as I said before, they want to vote. They didn't vote, but they want to vote, and they say that that children of all ages can vote if they are given these tools for develop this critical thinking. And also, it's only depends of the will of the political authorities. Okay. And I would like to read this quote that is really like sound and interesting. It's from a girl of 10 years old. And she said, I really liked the idea of voting. Just because we are younger doesn't mean that we don't have opinions. All human beings have opinions regardless of their age. Because if we look at the law from the past, they weren't fair for everyone. They didn't let women vote, and that is really bad. Now women can travel. They can work and propose whatever they want, and kids can too. So she is comparing the situation of women 50 years ago with the condition of children, and that is really is real. Is well, a really good quote. And to ending here, I only want to say that children are demanding for their inclusion in the writing of the new constitution. They have a concrete and diverse proposal, and they are asking that that the state and the people hear them, but also make change. That they don't want a symbolic participation, but a real one, an effective one. Okay, so I will read this last quote that says, if we could vote, I'd want everything to change and not see the same old politicians in power. So they are asking for real change, like all the people here in Chile. So they have the similar opinion that all the most of the people here. So to conclude this presentation, we would like to remark some points that we think that are relevant. First is the need for justice and reparation for all the children and adolescents, that they are almost 800, that suffer from the state violence. So far, we don't have any information about cases of reparation or justice. There is a silence from the state, from the government here. And also, we think that it's really important to stop criminalizing children whose rights have been already violated. And that is the case of all these children and adolescents that are treated by the National Service of Minor here in Chile. And we demand the state to make real actions and implementing institutional changes in terms of prevention and rights protection. I don't know if you know, but Chile is the only country in Latin America that hasn't adapted his constitution and legislation, to the convention. We are still having a Child Act from 1967. So it's really hard, and the state haven't assumed or haven't recognized children as subjects of rights yet. So it's really hard, and it is urgent to have these institutional changes. And about children participation, we only want to remark that children and adolescents have been playing a leading role in the social mobilization, but the authority still ignored their desires, demands, proposal, and needs. Okay, and we think that now we have the great opportunity, the great and unique opportunity to give children the right, the effective right to participate and include them in this constitutional process, if we fail, it will be really like I don't know how to say, but it will be really awful and a new violation of their right to participation. And lastly, children and young people want to participate. They have expressed their desire to participate, and when they have the spaces to participate, they use them with a lot of passion, creativity, and responsibility. So as an observatory, we say this: never again without kids, and we will do our best to include them in this process, and we are trying to make visible what children and young people says and think. And well, thank you. We are finished.
That's brilliant. Thank you so much. That was incredibly powerful and gut-wrenching is my immediate response to it. So thank you so much. We have some time for some comments and questions. So can I ask colleagues, click on the participants button at the bottom and put the hand raise on there if you can, if you want to speak. If you can't find that for any reason, then just wave wildly and I'm sure I'll be able to see you. So who would like to go first? Rebecca.
Wow, that was so powerful and so distressing, really. I feel I need to acknowledge that, yeah, I mean, I felt quite really choked throughout it. I think what I wanted to ask, I'm really interested in, your evocation of the young people's voices, how you brought them to life was incredibly powerful. And as you identified, you gave us some hope. I'm really interested in how you have worked, obviously so delicately and carefully, to build the relationships with young people. And I wondered if you might just tell us a little bit about how you've done that.
Maybe okay. I will. This was hablo in Spanish, or I will try in English, and then it was really like when we saw that children was getting together to talk about what they were feeling. I called a friend and we called two friends and we just went to these spaces and make a link with the adults that were working with the children. And then we start going there and just observe. So we didn't establish a relationship with these children. But then after, when we collected all this information, we established contact with the other children and adolescents from the movements. And then we were really lucky because we just called the children and we talked with them, and we had a really good connection. So they invite us, the radio invite us. So we were interviewed first by the children and we talked, and they first took the control and talked with us and asked a lot of questions. I have to explain what is the meaning of sociology. So, and I went, oh, I don't know, but okay. So we talk a lot first, and then we invite them to talk specifically about these topics, but the topics are in the air. They talk about it. You don't have to do a lot of effort make them talk about this, because they are living this, and then feel part of this. So it's not hard. And also, well, we haven't published yet this report, but we have been talking with them, and we will invite them to the how do you say, the launch of this report, and they will be there, and they will choose how they want to participate. So we are trying really to, I don't know, to first make really like close and how do you say, horizontal relationship with them, and trying to be how do you say, a bridge or a platform that they can use to show what do they feel and think. And yeah, I don't know if it's okay or.
Thank you, Valentina. That was very, very clear, and I appreciate you doing that in English. Well done.
Yeah. And I seem to remember Valentina saying at the beginning, and Daniela, you know, worried about your English. Please don't be. I think we're all blown away by that as well. Rachel, I think you had a comment next.
Yeah, thank you. It was really so interesting. And I was reading Wikipedia, catching up on it all at the same time. I suppose it's a question, it is about Chile, but thinking about children and young people as political actors globally at this historical moment. So whether it's Black Lives Matters or the campaigns that are happening on the streets in Poland, where a lot of it is teenagers, certainly climate activism, children playing this kind of leading role in it. So we're seeing in many places children coming forward as political actors, maybe sometimes pushed forward, or, you know, it's interesting to think how it is that they are the political actors, and to understand why right now children are the figures around which some political movements are organizing, or are able to, it's able to focus around the figure of the child, both, you know, the child as a representation of the future, which is in question, particularly with climate change, but also maybe of in some ways a sort of figure for feminism, to women's rights, or, you know, I was interested the connection made there within feminism, but with in particular reference to Chile and the fact that these are fights around privatization of services, and the ways in which children may strangely represent the state through the idea of the family, you know, the idea of, you know, fighting for their parents to have better quality jobs so they can be at home and have a family life, is just such an interesting an exceptional really moment, but maybe a moment a bit like the Industrial Revolution, you know, where something is at stake in terms of how the family life relates to work. And, you know, we think of Chile as the epicenter for neoliberal reform, and in a sense children are representing something about the relationship between the family, the state and capital in kind of stark terms. So that's so interesting, and it's so interesting that it feels that in their discourse, the quotes that you give, that they kind of know that, you know, this is not like imposing that. There's something in their language that suggests they understand they have a role here to say something, to perhaps even protect their parents, or to speak for the world that is lost, and to fear the world that is coming. So yeah, I'm just interested in how you think about that, but also how you think about the connections between other struggles that children are at the forefront, and teenagers, because I think when you're talking about 17-year-olds, you know, they're teenagers, aren't they, really, rather than children?
I think they had a critical view about what's happening in the country, and they have a systemic view about the crisis. No, they living every day in his families, the loneliness, and they see what happened to their parents that spend every day working, and they don't have time to spend with us. So they have a critical view, but the point is how we are going to respond to that critical view and to make an effort to include them in the new constitution. Why or how it's going to happen? That's the difficult part now. They want to participate, they know clearly what they want, but since now the state have closed the door and says you cannot participate because you don't have the age to participate. I can put you in jail if you make something bad, but you cannot participate and say what the country you want to live. No.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, I would like to complement like a little bit that we we saw that children have how do you say, an intergenerational perspective. They are not only thinking about them, but also they are thinking in adults, old people. They are thinking on the society as a whole, and also in animals and the environment. So they have a really like a solidarity or community view about life that maybe is new with this new generation. And when we saw the first mass evasion of the high school students, the authority says, why are you protesting if you don't pay the metro? And the student said, we are doing this for my mom, for my dad, for my grandpa, and for all the people and workers that have to pay more with the same salary. So they have this like a new perspective, more generous. I don't know how to say that.
Yeah, absolutely. Daughter, you've got your hand up.
Yeah, it's a question or comment. Well, it's a question, in fact, leading on from the conversations that has already been, and it's really, really interesting, the whole movement of how children are participating. But I'm making a little bit of an artificial line between children, adolescent, and youth to try to see if you know anything about how organizations of children, of adolescents, and of youth, how they support each other, or if they compete for having a say. Sort of how young people themselves are seeing age differences and maybe looking at who are old enough to participate and who are too young, if they do so.
Yes, maybe, I don't know if we have a lot of information about that, but about what we saw with these groups, they are not competing. They are like acting like maybe the problem is they don't have many links between each or organizations, so they act really like independently. Okay, because here in Chile it's really difficult to participate if you are not a part of a political party. So almost for adults, it's really hard to participate. And that is why the last year had been really good for us, or for the most of us, because we have found new ways of new spaces for to participate, and we have experienced like a local organization that was created spontaneously in the neighbors. So I participate with my neighbors in my home, and the children are participating with the neighbors, and that is new, or maybe we haven't had that kind of participation since the 60s. And also, it's really hard to get to the children's organizations because you don't have that information. You have to go to the field and look where are they, and so it's not easy to find that particular information. I don't know if Dani.
Maybe until now, we only have seen secondary student organization. That was the most visible organization or the way of participation of the children. And now, like Valentina says, we can see a lot of little organizations that had emerged spontaneously. It has been spontaneously. So the work of the observatory have been be there and watch, you know, and in the future can open a place to the children can communicate this organization.
I'm really conscious that we've gone slightly over time as well. I know a couple of people have had to leave already, so it probably falls to me to make a final comment. And the bit that has struck me the most is how many times in my own writing, which has been about child protection, I've talked about the participation of children in child protection plans, for example, is not only an ethical right for children, but it has a real practical value because children then inform their own protection plans. And I think what I've learned in this today is how much that's true at this political level. I haven't seen that to this extent in the way that you've discussed that today, how practically helpful the comments were, how eminently sensible children's suggestions were for how to improve things in their country. You know, if a group of adults, sensible adults sat down, they could not have done better. And these have come from the voices and experiences of children. And that's just, I would like to play that to our government in the UK and say, this is what you should be doing. Please, let's do that now. It's really inspiring. I found it really inspiring today. I really want to thank you for sharing that with us. I've recorded it today and we will place that on our CIRCY website. We will share it with our colleagues. Please do share it with your colleagues. And I know that one of our intentions today was continuing this kind of relationship that we have with the Chilean Observatory through Janet's contact with you previously, Valentina coming, Loreto coming here. We do hope that we have many more opportunities like this in the future to share thoughts together and opportunities together. So it's like a big thank you from all of us here. Thank you so much. Many warm wishes to you all.
Thank you for this great opportunity to be here with you and discussing these exciting subjects. Yeah. And also only one, how do you say, thing. We are working in translating a summary of these two reports, one of the state violence and the other one of children participation. So when it is ready, we will share with you and we will put in our website.
Oh, that's terrific. That would be really good. Yeah. And then, in fact, I think we may have shared with you, or Loretta may have shared with you, our CIRCY annual report where we have stories of the things we've been doing. Actually, it would be brilliant if we could add that into ours, because I think, you know, having this contribution from yourself is really inspiring for everybody's work. So yeah, lots more contact between us for the future.
Okay, great.
Thanks to everybody coming, all the really interesting comments and suggestions and so on too. Bye-bye, everyone. Bye.
Bye. Thanks.